the one determining factor that makes you a truly powerful Sigma male. Stay tuned and find out. Gather round, Kaiju pack, for some more Sigma soul sustenance. It's your boy Kaiju Kong, so let's get right into it. The one ability and trait that determines whether or not you are the cream of the crop, the Sigma male of all Sigma males, a Kaiju. For those of you who don't know, a Sigma male is the lone wolf antithesis of the alpha male, perhaps the most interesting of all male types because he is an outsider and exudes an air of mystery. Unlike the alpha or beta males, despite not playing the social game, a Sigma male still manages to bag his fair share of women. I'm gonna give you a little backstory into where this idea came up. In March 2020, when the coronavirus was globally recognized as a pandemic, the world entered a state of panic, as you may remember. Toilet paper disappeared from supermarket shelves, and masses of people raced to stock up on household items. People on the news beating each other up with baguettes in order to get their hands on that last can of baked beans. For someone who didn't know what was going on, they would have thought this was the freaking apocalypse. Funnily enough, when the announcement came up, I was taking a break from my evening run, and there I was, amused. Not afraid, just amused. Because I didn't see it as a crisis. I saw it as a challenge. The world could throw whatever it wanted my way, and I would face it head on. A quote popped up in my head at that moment, that when things don't go your way, don't say, "Why me?" Instead, say, "Try me." It was at that very moment that I realized the one trait and strength of the powerful Sigma male, the trait that makes a Kaiju beast. I did not share the fear of the general public. On the contrary, I smirked because I realized that I was prepared. Prepared because of this one determining Sigma male trait. I knew that at a moment's notice, I could go off-grid and be completely self-reliant, 100% self-sustainable. As a Sigma male growing up, I hated trends, hated the so-called bandwagon. I couldn't care less about the hottest band, the latest movie or TV series, hottest song, or the newly released phone at the time. Wherever majority of people went, I would go the other way. Following this same principle, I would engage in sports considered unconventional at the time. For example, I got into parkour in 2005, long before it became popular. But as soon as I saw an increased following for the sport, I quit altogether. And although my parents would have told you that they were the ones who convinced me to quit because of the risks involved with the sport, I stopped only because parkour was becoming mainstream. And from then on, I started getting into increasingly more dangerous or higher tier sports, where I knew at least 70% of the human population would be too scared or too weak to get into. If I chose to get into a conventional sport like swimming or taekwondo, I made sure to at least be among the top athletes in the team. Call it what you will, I wanted to be different from the average male, and being called mediocre was equivalent to death for me. This mindset led me to take up the activities I currently practice, namely calisthenics, bow hunting, and spearfishing. And as you can imagine, all the skills gained from these activities will serve incredibly useful if, God forbid, the supermarkets close and there is a food shortage. With food shortage, it will be a matter of days before crimes will start breaking out as people raid stores and other houses for supplies. And while all this massive chaos erupts, where will I be? I would have already made it to the countryside, set up camp, and have a fresh organic chicken roasting over a fire that I caught earlier using my bow. And if the circumstances prevent me from hunting on land, then I can spearfish and source my food from the deep blue depths. And if ever I needed to travel or scout quickly through cities or even outrun survivors, then the functional movements perfected through practicing calisthenics would prove useful in climbing buildings and getting over obstacles. Look at it this way. Do you think kaijus like Godzilla or King Kong would give a damn if society collapsed and if the supply chains run dry? I don't think so. They know how to take care of themselves. You know what? Since you got this far, I'm gonna show you my Instagram story on the very day the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus a pandemic. Here it is.
Good evening. Now this message is for the men out there, and you will see why in a bit. This matter of the coronavirus It's been preoccupying me lately, especially being declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization. The number of cases here in Portugal have been rising. But I'm not here to instill fear nor panic. I believe that everything, including this, shall pass. Nothing is permanent, except for change. But I believe that everything is a message. The message is, be prepared. I am always for taking full advantage of the system, but not being dependent on the system. Especially as a man, it's important to be independent. Are you a lion or are you a sheep? If you are dependent on the system, if you're dependent on supermarkets, if you're dependent on the government, then you are not a lion, you're a sheep. When I found out that supermarkets have been empty and people have been hoarding food, I was never truly afraid because I know that I can spearfish and I can hunt my own food and I can survive. But most of the population can barely run nor swim to save their lives. Guys, be prepared.
Knowing that you can survive and even thrive completely alone, now that is true confidence. That is sovereignty, my friend. That is true Sigma male essence. As outliers, we prefer to remain outside the hierarchy, but we as Sigma males must remember the fact that supermarkets, pharmacies, and other essential stores are part and parcel of this hierarchy and system we claim to distance ourselves from. And if you are truly the Sigma male you claim to be, then you should be able to make it alone without depending on these providers. Dependency means you can be controlled, because those you are depending on have all the leverage. Can you source your own food in the wilderness? Do you know how to start a fire, navigate using the stars, build a shelter, or make your own medicine? This is why a true Sigma male is more powerful than the Alpha. This independence from the system that Alphas rely on give us an edge. If you don't possess any of the skills I mentioned previously, or having recognized that you don't, still refuse to take it upon yourself to learn these valuable Sigma skills, then I'm sorry my friend, you are no Sigma male. I see many guys proclaim themselves as Sigma males just because it sounds cool to be rebellious, mysterious on the same level or even better than an alpha, and still get his fair share of women. Man, come on, this isn't some video game where you select a character class and be done with it. It ain't that simple. The comforts of this modern age, especially the internet, allow men to work and live independently, which leads many to believe and label themselves as Sigma males. Many of these self-proclaimed Sigma males are either beta males or omega males in denial, and like the false pride gained by crowning themselves alphas. Especially today, you see these fake Sigmas on the web complaining about what's going on and spreading conspiracy theories, trying to expose the faults of the global leadership and the system, yet at the end of the day, don't do anything and still remain trapped in society. So if you are indeed a true Sigma male and want to further increase the Sigma essence, then you need to ensure you are truly self-dependent, self-reliant, and self-sufficient. As I mentioned previously, I'm a firm believer of taking full advantage of the system and time we live in, but not being dependent on the system. I am all for capitalizing on the system to build a comfortable life, work hard, get paid, buy a nice motorbike, crib, and more. But don't get me wrong, I am not advocating the life of a hermit, if the times permit it. I'm reminded here of Sun Tzu's Art of War, where he says, make it seem you are weak when you're actually strong. Brothers, be a wolf in sheep's clothing, so that you don't attract the wrong type of attention to yourself. Blend in with the matrix while there is much to gain from it, but always be prepared and don't get domesticated. This is what makes a powerful Sigma male, the creme de la creme, the Sigma male of all Sigma males. You will see both a wolf and a tiger in a zoo, but Godzilla and King Kong never remain behind bars. They choose to die rather than live in captivity. If you aim to grow to your full potential as a Sigma male, then subscribe and hit the notifications button to stay connected as a member of the Kaiju pack. More videos are on the way. Also, don't forget to leave a like and comment to help this channel grow and help many more men out there. We are in dark times, gentlemen. The world needs strong men to rebuild its foundations, and as a Kaiju at heart, it is our responsibility to destroy what is evil and defend what is good, even when majority fail to do so. Lastly, if you'd like to see how I live my life as a manifesting Kaiju, then follow me on Instagram at RockyPerez with 2 Z's, and check out my daily IG story for some inspiration. And with that, this gathering is concluded. Take care, brothers.